Welcome back to Femme Flex Friday. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the truth behind popular cosmetic procedures. A comprehensive guide for you, because we have a special guest coming on at the end of the show, so you can't leave this topic. We're going to be talking about the pros, the cons, and removal. So I'm here with my co-hosts, Whitney Jones, Lenda Murray, and Wendy Fortino. Please be sure to like, subscribe to Olympia YouTube channel, and we will dive in. So, have you guys done some of like the popular cosmetic procedures such as Botox, fillers? Have you guys done any of these procedures before?
Oh yeah.
Who wants to start?
Who's starting? I have Botox because I can't make such a bad face anymore, so obviously.
I'm going to start off just by saying that I feel like this is not a taboo subject anymore.
No.
I feel like a long time ago, it was totally taboo. I remember when I very first did Botox, it was like, if anybody found out, if anybody knew, you were going to be judged for it. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I feel like
it's not.
It is.
We've got fake hair, fake boobs, fake lashes. Let's be real here. Be honest about it. I mean, come on.
But there has been a change, I think, in this realm, because when it first came out or became popular, they're almost like it was like more. And we saw the effects that it had on us. It can quickly turn you from looking
it's not
how you normally look in your identity to almost unrecognizable or too much, and it can actually make women look older. I think.
Yeah.
So, have you ladies had any? I mean, the common areas for Botox is like forehead.
Yeah, I just had. It was so cool because so I've done Botox and fillers, more fillers than Botox. So I just recently had.
You don't look like it at all.
Botox.
Your doctor knows what they're doing.
And that's not even been. I think it's been like maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe. That's when it kind of really settled.
Right, and so like the first 3 days, you can't. I guess it sets in by the third day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, so and the only reason I got the Botox because I noticed that I was starting to frown a lot, and that line would stay.
Yes.
And so I'm not trying to do anything different. So it took. I'm going to say it's been almost 2 years since having the filler. So I just recently had the filler because I noticed that, and I normally get the ones where it regenerates, helps with collagen.
Juvederm, I think.
Yes, Juvederm. And it, to me, you know what I noticed the most, I think, as far as moisture in my skin? I felt like I had more.
Really?
More plumpness?
Well, it does do that. So, and the amazing thing about some fillers, like when I was in my 30s, I had kind of deep lines right here, and I did some there, but I haven't done that in years and years and years because it naturally filled it in. So
naturally,
Well, maybe not naturally, but it promotes your natural collagen.
Yeah. My brothers and I, we have these chiseled cheekbones, which are great for my brothers, but in our sport, as we get lean, I'm like, gosh, I look like a skeleton on stage. And so I did, gosh, I don't know, 4 years ago maybe. I probably need to do it again. But it did help because you want to look youthful on stage. And obviously as you lean down for competition, your face can look very old and very aged within those last 2 weeks. And I did do it. The same went to Julie, who's here in Arizona. She's incredible. And I like it because everything's subtle. It's not over the top. Nobody knew, so it wasn't like this massive change. And that's what I wanted. And it's not like that doesn't stay forever.
At least
it doesn't. I don't even remember what kind it did. But
so let's talk about that because we are in a sport that we diet down, and when you diet down and then you gain weight and you diet down, you start to lose those fat pads in your face. Yes. And I know I would. Maybe you guys have too, but. As I would get closer to shows, like you start looking really sunken in. And I would try to combat that with filler, Botox, and I have crossed that line before.
Yeah.
And I've also found that when your metabolism is revving up, you burn through so much Botox.
So fast.
Oh, really?
So fast.
Yes.
So fast.
Yes. I did something that I really did not like. And so I had gone to the dentist, and my dentist told me that I was that I would grind my teeth, and I thought, well, maybe I'm, from like lifting heavy and I, just getting under stress or whatever. And I also, probably from eating all the chicken, I don't know.
Eating my dry chicken.
And so and so my muscles here were just really dominant, right? And so I also was getting headaches, and I thought, well, maybe that could be it, So my dentist said, well, some people get Botox right here in order to, help with that. So I did. I got Botox on my sides, and I hated it because my face naturally has like a kind of a shape to it. And my face, especially after I dieted down, it was so sunken in that it was just like, I was like, like it looked long and thin, and I actually didn't feel like I looked like myself anymore.
We'll have to find that picture and put it up here because you've showed me that picture and it almost didn't even look like you.
Yeah,
really?
It was really bizarre. Yeah, it was.
We need to find that.
Yeah, right around the end of 2020. And I was I was just like so, and so then I was like, okay, and then I let the muscles grow back, and I don't know. I don't care. I have a dominant jawline. I don't care.
But I feel like there's certain areas where, especially when you're getting ready to be on stage because you're smiling and you need certain facial features to fully function.
Yes.
I learned the hard way that, the nurse practitioner was like, let's just smooth out your crow's feet. I'm like, all right, sounds great. And you're like,
okay.
And
I did the same thing. And for fitness, you perform a routine. You've got to have different facials. You got to be sweet 1 minute, cocky the next, hardcore. So it's like you're showing 800 different emotions. Well, the first time I ever did Botox was, I think I was 35, and got it done, and it was before a competition. And I was like this the whole time. And I'm like, I can't even change this expression.
Really?
I was so upset.
And it like that feeling
froze my face.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't like how I look. I don't feel comfortable.
So you just get it in more strategic places now. So where's the normal?
So what I've learned, like if I want to soften my crow's feet, if I come any lower than here, it changes my whole smile. So I have to do just a little bit there, and it kind of just softens it. But as I've gotten older, maybe I've used so much, used Botox over the years. I think for me, less is more.
Right.
I like to have facial expressions, and I don't want to be completely frozen because we depend on them for a lot of things.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I feel you on that.
So
we do. We depend on Botox for a lot of things. No, I'm just kidding.
I have a quick video to show you guys, which is kind of interesting. There's now. Well, I'll let you guys. Nico, why don't you play it first?
Fillers have, for the last 10 to 20 years, have been on a gradual but very steady rise. Every year, 10 to 15% increase in the number of fillers that are being performed. Starting 2020, we've noticed that trend turning around. It's starting to decrease. So this is in line with what we're seeing socially, that people are starting to realize that fillers may not be the fountain of youth that we've always expected them to be. And sometimes it takes that type of trial and error to realize that. But what are the specific things that we're noticing in people and ourselves that is leading to so many people wanting to dissolve the fillers at this point? So let's break it down. So number one, when you have too much filler, and that's the culprit at the end of the day, it's too much filler, what you end up starting to see is there's an unnatural proportion to the face. So this lack of naturalness, that's just something that a lot of people start to notice in themselves, friends start noticing in their friends, spouses started noticing in their spouses, that suddenly the person no longer looks like themselves, and quite frankly, stops looking really human too, because human faces have natural proportions. And when you start putting fillers in areas where fillers and volume should not be, you start to ruin those proportions, and as a result start looking unnatural. When you see them, it's kind of like the bad facelifts of the old days, when you start to see people looking pulled and tight and you assume they've had work done. Well, now we have a different problem, and that's the
doesn't look like her.
face or
Was that
puffy
Demi
face
Moore?
Yeah.
outcomes from too much filler, leading to an
like her.
unnatural look. The second reason is that too much filler in the wrong places leads to an older look. In fact, Courtney Cox was mentioning that she in fact felt that she was starting to not only look different, unnatural, but also she started to look older. And that is something that we've talked about on this channel as well, that filler misuse can lead to an aged appearance, not a younger appearance, which is fundamentally what we all want. We want to look like a younger version of ourselves, and that's why we're gravitating towards these procedures. But when they're used to correct problems that are related to laxity and sagging, you're forced as an injector to think of it as adding a bunch of volume up top in the upper part of the face to try to lift the face. You are trying to add volume down to the lower part of the face to mask the deformities that are occurring as a result of
That's
jowling.
crazy.
But hold those thoughts, ladies. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are back. So ladies, we just saw a phenomenon of decrease in Botox and fillers.
That was interesting.
Yeah, but he just kind of talked about what we were talking about, like whereas people are learning through trial and error.
Yeah.
Does it not dissolve?
Well, it does dissolve over time, but Nico, why don't you play that next video for me?
Whatever you do, don't get ass shots.
Cardi B is sharing her unfiltered thoughts on butt injections. In an Instagram live
we're
earlier
speaking of
this
butt
week,
injections.
the Up rapper got candid about her experience with cosmetic procedures and revealed that in August, she got the majority of the biopolymers that had been injected into her butt removed.
I actually removed my ass shots off my butt. I removed 95% of it.
Cardi called it a quote, really crazy process, and cautioned young people against getting the injections.
If you young, if you 19,
Those
if you 20,
nails.
if you 21, and sometimes you too skinny, and you be like, oh my God, I don't got enough fat to put on my ass and everything, so you resort to ass shots, bitch, don't f***ing do it.
The hip-hop artist
how
added
do
that
you
she was,
wipe your
quote,
butt with nails
super
like
against
that?
the procedure, while sharing her support for women who want to modify their appearance.
I all the way support you. If you want to do alterations to your body, if you love your body, whatever, I'm all the way with it. But do not get shots.
Cardi also offered advice for those considering getting a Brazilian butt lift, known as a BBL.
Like, you literally have to make sure your blood levels are right. If a doctor say your blood levels is too low, or you have diabetes or whatever the don't do it. You're gonna have to live with your flat or your fat. It don't matter.
That's what I said. Live with
Don't ever risk it.
Okay, the nails. I can't.
Okay.
What the hell? Okay, but yeah.
I have a thought on this, and goes along with like the face stuff that people do. But I think a lot of times, and this goes with a lot of stuff, is that people don't realize that they're the guinea pig when they're the first people to do something.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff when it first came out, it sounded like this awesome free ride, and people were making money off of it left and right. And now we're starting to see the effects of it. The longitudinal study has taken its course, right?
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see what the after effects of it are after multiple years of people doing these things with the butt stuff. Because I don't know, I feel like this BBL trend, right? It's like just like with anything, when it first comes out and people don't really know about it, people think that these people actually have butts like that. And after more people start to know about it, people realize, oh, this is fake and stuff like that. And then the next phase is the people that got it are starting to have negative side effects, and people who didn't get it are like, yep, that's why I didn't do it in the first place.
Right. Well, for you had asked, are people like for facial fillers? You can actually dissolve them, but it's a process, and some areas are hard to
they're
dissolve.
permanent?
fillers?
Yeah.
Well, you can actually dissolve some fillers. You can dissolve some fillers. And the doctor who's coming on pretty soon can answer that question. But Cardi B is removing her butt injections, which has been a big popular craze. Kim Kardashian, the Kardashians you're noticing their butts are getting a little bit smaller, and they're just kind of toning it down. But it's kind of, it went from this like give me more to less.
Yeah, that's so funny. The Kardashians' butts are starting to come down. We're starting to see trends and down trends in the butt size.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, it inhibits your ability to really work out, like to do certain things.
Oh my God.
Sit down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little
Pretty
hard.
important.
I had thought of that. How does one
Do you
sit?
squeeze into an airplane seat?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to take one more quick break because we have a very special guest coming on who is an expert in all of this and is going to answer all of our questions. So don't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And we are back, and we have a very special guest today. We have Dr. Tirgari out of San Diego, California, here with us to talk about the procedures we mentioned earlier and to answer our questions, because we have a lot of questions for him. So, Dr. Tirgari, thank you so much for coming on our show with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, so we were just kind of diving into Botox and fillers and the trends, and us, we've all experienced a lot of it, and we've also experienced too much and having to kind of back off some areas because it does change our facial expression. So what have you found with the trends over time, and like what is your experience and what are you seeing?
Thanks for asking. That's actually a very important point. You know, as a general rule, we focus a lot on the body in medicine. We haven't really focused on mental health and, you know, our attitude. And I find that that's an area where we're really playing some catch up. Now, of course, people sometimes, you know, want to make sure that they not only, you know, look good, but also feel good. And it's kind of a two-way street. When you look good, you feel good about yourself and so on. But I think in some cases, people have gone a little bit overboard. I mean, we've all seen what happened to Michael Jackson, for example, and some of the trends were more is better.
Yeah.
And there are folks like me who are trying to undo that trend. The goal for me in our practice is for nobody to know that you were actually here, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah,
I like
But the less somebody notices that you had work done, the better of a practitioner, I believe, you know, the person is. So I always start with the basics, kind of like diet. You know, you start with the basics when it comes to health, diet and exercise, and then you work your way up. And it's no different with aesthetics either. You start with the simple stuff, and then you kind of take it piece by piece so that people don't notice that there's a change. You don't want to have this shock effect. No matter how good somebody looks, you want it to be something that's so inconspicuous that their friends and family and coworkers don't even know that something happened. They just know that they look younger, more refreshed, happier, you know, what have you.
What do you do when somebody comes to you from another doctor and they've just done way too much? Like, how do you approach that situation? Like, how do you fix that?
It happens all the time. And, you know, a lot of it's geography dependent without naming locations, but
that's a
I think
PC way of doing it.
There is a, you know, I guess monkey see, monkey do kind of milieu type of thing where in certain environments, if everyone looks a certain way, you feel like you have to look a certain way.
Yep.
And if everyone's walking around with their lips out to here, their cheeks out to here, their faces frozen, you know, you feel like you got to fit in. It's one of those basic, you know, facets of human nature where we want to feel kind of part of the tribe, so to speak. In aesthetics, I think there is such a thing as going too far. And I make a lot more time than a lot of my fellow physicians and practitioners to really sit down and converse and create a treatment plan with goals for the clients. Because ultimately, I want them to look their best, and I don't think you look your best when you look fake.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
Right? I also caution, especially women, especially with the stresses and the pressures that society places on women. I mean, I had 3 sisters growing up, so this is like kind of old hat to me, but society puts a lot of stress on women, and I think women have to learn not to overdo it, to kind of put the brakes on. There's nothing wrong with being an attractive older woman. There's nothing wrong with that, and I think sometimes women perceive that society values youth. Well, it does, but you can be just as attractive being in your 40s and 50s, right? And knowing that you're an older woman, there's a certain grace and appeal and elegance that comes with that.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, and actually, that brings up a good
like
point
that.
too, because something I see is high school girls around here in Arizona, they want cosmetic procedures for graduation, whether it be facial stuff or breast augmentation. So when you have younger clients come to you ready to dive in, especially to facial stuff, because at that age they haven't even fully developed the adult
filters.
Look. I mean, how do you handle that? And are you seeing that increase dramatically with the ages getting younger and younger?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is sometimes the moms will drag him in. And now sometimes I have to learn how to say no. They have to be 18. And even if the mom is co-signing, I make it a personal point, unless I'm treating something like acne, where if it's severe, it can cause some serious, emotional and mental health issues later in life, and then you have to deal with the acne scars, which cost money later in life. With acne, I'll make an exception, for example, but generally speaking, the times I might make an exception is when something preventative can be done. If, for example, a chemical peel can get rid of some pigmentation, kids now are spending a lot of time tanning, and if they're doing a lot of tanning and they're doing a lot of damage to their skin, sometimes just kind of doing a skincare regimen for them is perfectly appropriate. Now, if they come to me and they want their faces frozen with Botox, they want their lips out to here because they went on TikTok and saw something, they need me to not just be an authority in medicine, but also an authority in terms of what's beneficial for them.
Right.
That's good for you.
That's a lost art.
That is a lost art.
If they were coming to me for diabetes, I would get their blood sugar under control. I wouldn't try to get them down to as low as possible, right? And it's the same thing because once you set people on a certain path, it's very difficult to course correct later on. So I make it a point to tell them that they are naturally beautiful, and all I'm doing is maybe just kind of nipping at the buds on the periphery, right? And that the most beautiful people are the people who feel good about themselves, right? A lot of times when people go down that pathway, they start getting body dysmorphic disorder, and then a lot of times practitioners may not be aware that they're feeding into it, right? By doing more, you're actually doing harm.
Right.
So that's a conversation that I think needs to happen more often.
I have a question for you, and it kind of piggybacks off of maybe what Whitney's talking about and what's causing some of this, but are you seeing people come to you with a picture of themselves that they have copied from a filter on like TikTok
Look at
or
his smile.
Snapchat?
He's like, yeah.
And these filters can make you look like so amazing.
Yeah.
Do people come to you and say, "Can you make me look like this?"
I wish I could work filters because God knows my my Instagram photos would look a lot better. Sometimes they do. You'd actually be surprised we don't get that many. I think most people know that filters are fake.
They still use them. They know they're fake.
Yeah, and if they're seeing me, and a lot of times I'll see, sometimes they'll have me take a look at their Instagram. They've got millions of followers or whatever, and all their pictures are photoshopped, and I'm looking at them right dead on, and they've got all their makeup taken off. They've got significant melasma, for example, and I basically tell them that my goal is to gradually get them to as close to that ideal as I possibly can, but it may not happen, okay? It may not happen perfectly, but I'm gonna get there as close as I possibly can, but they also have to be realistic. And once you have that conversation and they hear it from me, most people are pretty reasonable.
You're like, you may not ever look like yourself that everyone else thinks you look like, but.
Okay, so could we ask you about butt injections? Because it's a hot topic, and we have seen some of it. We're in the world of bodybuilding. We have seen some of that enter our sport.
Yes.
Have you encountered that? Maybe you don't do it yourself, but have you seen that, and also the phenomenon of having it removed?
Yes. So you may or may not be aware, but they were discussing a moratorium in Florida after over a dozen women died from having the fat transfers. And, among cosmetic procedures, it is considered the most risky.
Really?
A lot of doctors were trying to push back because, it was not done in the hands of experienced practitioners. There were techniques that were not being followed, blah, blah,
That's
blah,
what
blah,
they
blah.
said.
But you are injecting fat into an area where there are large vessels where you could really embolize things. Now, there are safer options. There are, butt implants, silicone implants that can be done, which are quicker. There's Sculptra, which can be injected. It gets a little expensive, but over time, it's basically a stimulator. So it actually stimulates natural augmentation over time. And those are much, much safer, although the effect isn't quite as immediate. But my feeling about it is a lot of women who actually had butt implants have actually come back to me and said that they would have not done it over. They felt that, fat, once it's taken out and liquefied and re-injected, it loses that scaffolding of collagen that holds its place. So you basically got liquefied fat and you're sitting on your butt, which you have to think isn't really going to be reliably staying in place in a lot of cases.
Reliably looking good.
Yeah, and so, now because a lot of the celebrities online have actually had the courage to come back, and I actually did a TikTok on this recently, where I showed that the trend is now reversing in the other direction. People are getting their breast implants taken out, like Pamela Anderson did. People are getting their fillers dissolved and going for the natural look. I'm all about it. And I talked about this on my video, and I said, listen, this is a great thing. And I really applaud those folks out there who have influence on young women, who are showing them that this is not necessarily the way it has to be.
Yeah, so we just watched a video on Cardi B. She was talking about how she's in the process of removing all of hers, and so yeah, that's interesting, and it's a very important topic for people to talk about. So what is the process like to have that reversed?
I don't touch it just because of the risk. So I think the best I could describe it as is you'll have to go in there. They'll usually make an incision at the lower glute line where they can actually hide the scar, and then the fat is removed. Oftentimes, if there's loose skin, because the skin, overlying skin has been stretched out, they'll have to do something to tighten that, whether with lasers or with some other type of fillers, or even an implantation if it's a significant amount of looseness. Or the skin may even need to be excised and approximated, as we call it. It's not a fun procedure. Yeah. And even the reversal has its own sets of risks with infection and so on. So the best place to start is to not start.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are in the fitness community. I know Wendy, for example, could probably do a better job than anybody I know at doing natural glute augmentation in the gym.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
I know,
Build those glutes, girls.
It's
Just
like
build
with
those
me,
glutes.
with the whole thing, when they started talking about manipulating like the waistline and then taking it from here and then tucking it there. And I mean, I always said to myself that because I'm in this profession and I know how to weight train, I know diet, that I would not allow myself to go there, even though I'm in this industry where appearance is so important and I'm no longer competing.
8-time Miss Olympia right here.
And things are changing for me. So I have to sometimes really fight and work to okay, Lenda, just watch your diet. Okay, Lenda, stay consistent with your exercising, just enjoy and embrace aging. And
okay, but not everybody, guess her age. She is 61.
Yeah. Don't ask me that. Okay. Well, you look amazing.
Right.
Not everybody.
But see,
I don't know, Lenda. You look like you could be in your 30s. The rest of us have to age a little bit more gracefully than you'll ever know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
I'll tell you guys a little funny story. I had a lady come into my med spa at Avalon Laser, and I thought I picked up the wrong chart. She walked in. I think she was from Denmark, and her husband was Canadian, and they'd moved to Vancouver. So she'd never really seen the sun, and she still wore sunscreen. And then her husband's job brought her down to Carlsbad, which was near my office, and she shows up one time. And I thought I picked up the wrong chart because I thought I'm looking at this very attractive, 40-ish woman. And And I said, I'm sorry, I think I have the wrong chart. And she says, no, that's me. And I couldn't believe my eyes. And take a guess how old she was.
Oh my gosh, how old?
65.
65.
Wow, what?
Right on the money.
How did you
Right on the money.
She's talking?
I don't know.
65 years old.
She's a champion.
Now, this woman had never seen sun, obviously lived in Denmark, lived in Vancouver, still slathered on the sunscreen, obviously took care of herself. I think she was like vegetarian or something. And, you know, I've talked about, you know, cutting out meat and dairy out of the diet and stuff as well. But it was impressive for me to see a living, breathing example of the power of self-care and preventive care.
Interesting.
Her skin was flawless.
Yeah.
And I looked at her, I said, listen, you know, my med spa, we do a lot of things here. I don't know what I'm going to do for you.
Yeah, what did she come in for?
Yeah, what was she there for?
I think she got some Botox.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like you said, preventive. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's nothing like just being smart and taking care of yourself is an inside job. Meditation, stress, staying out the sun.
Yeah.
You know, being in the
Absolutely.
sun, but not, you know,
Bathing.
more. Yeah.
Don't slather
Well, I
on
really
the
go-
oil.
With most people, I kind of go through a 5-point plan because I like to give people something to take home with them. And I'm not just talking skincare products, which are important, you know, as part of a good regimen. But, you know, much of this is not going to be news to you and your audience. But as a general rule, what I try to communicate to people is health and wellness, right? Now, there's a physical side of it. You guys know exercise, diet, hydration, and so on. But, you know, part I think that gets overlooked is the power of positivity. There's a lot of research in the psychiatric world and psychology world about how important positivity is to your overall health, not just your, you know, emotional health, but also physical health. You know, I tell a lot of folks, especially in today's world after COVID and stress and so on, and women especially, because they have the stress of, you know, kids and husbands to deal with. I encourage them to meditate. A little bit of meditation really helps you be present in the moment and mindful. And I always encourage them to be surrounded by positive people. Surround themselves with positive people that will nurture them.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing fitness or whether you're just working a normal, you know, other job, it is one of the most important things that I've found that is a component to good health, to surround yourself with the kind of people that will drive you forward and not thwart your goals, right? No news to you guys, I'm sure, but something I try to communicate as much as I can to my clients.
Yeah,
That's
but I think
great.
that is like news too, like for our audience, because sometimes we do feel like we can always manipulate and control things. Like when you tell someone the importance of meditation, when you talk about like it's an inside job and the like how much stress will age you, like like and you say that and it's like wow, like. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is awesome to hear this like from you.
What are some of
absolutely.
the trends that you're seeing? Like, what are the most popular, and more importantly, the ones that you like and that you do procedures on for the face?
For the face, well, you know, we get a lot of folks who are in bodybuilding and competition, you know, so those folks will come to us for things like laser hair removal, which is very, very common. So they avoid the nicks and cuts and scratches.
You do laser
Botox
hair
is common.
removal?
What's that?
Oh, Avalon Laser. Duh. I need to do that.
Avalon Laser.
Oh my gosh. I need to do that. Okay, I'm coming back for that.
We get a lot of these folks, and you know what's kind of funny is I kind of use it as an opportunity to kind of pick their brain, because when I do my liposuction surgeries, I want to communicate ways to help those patients, you know, continue their improvement. So I'll usually pick the brain of these folks who are in the gym and are much more expert than I am, and say, okay, what do you do for, you know, core? What do you do for glutes? What do you do for this? And now I just communicate with a little bit more expertise to my own patients. But, you know, the folks who come in that are in the fitness field, if they're in competition, they'll get, you know, laser hair all the time. If they're, you know, really tensing their face while they're in the gym, they'll get Botox to relax those muscles and get rid of those, you know, edged in lines. We do fillers sometimes for folks because it's just a normal part of aging and volume loss. A lot of folks actually come to us who have had acne. If they've, you know, sometimes they've done additional testosterone supplementation, for example, and they've had acne breakouts and now they have acne scars, right? Or if they've used some substances that they probably shouldn't have. But we do a lot of microneedling for those acne scars. We treat a lot of acne with laser. for clients because you want to look your best on stage. But as a general self-care regimen, we have a whole variety of facials depending on the person, depending on their age, anti-aging facials, acne facials, rejuvenating facials, and stress facials, because a lot of times, stress increases cortisol, can actually cause you to break down certain substances in the skin, break down collagen and elastin. And so these are things that, especially for folks who are extreme athletes, the wear and tear on their bodies really requires a lot of self-care.
Yeah.
So I just use a little bit of a maintenance regimen for those folks because, and I told Wendy, a lot of the folks who come and see us, they're not the average person. These guys are operating at a very high level, which is phenomenal. And so their self-care regimen needs to kind of match that.
Right.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap up this interview, but you have provided so many amazing points. And and you've actually touched on some important topics that we've talked about in other episodes. So we really appreciate your expertise and you being here with us today.
We appreciate you having, I appreciate you guys having me. I mean, I'm sure my whole staff would, but no, this is great. This is part of the mission statement that I am grateful that you've allowed me to kind of communicate to your audience as well.
Can you provide your information where we can reach out and even fly in and provide services?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website is www.avalon-laser.com, and we're located near Rancho Santa Fe, Carlsbad area, as well as in San Diego. So if anyone's local, we'll be happy to see you and take care of you the best we can.
Great. And for everyone watching, we'll have all the information in the link below, so please be sure to check out the information.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm also on TikTok at Dr. Reza_T. So if you guys want to get general health and wellness tips, that's a great place because I've kind of made it a focus, not just for physical, but also mental and diet and exercise types of tips. So yeah, always happy to help out. Appreciate you guys having me.
And he takes very good care of me, and as you now know why I go to
She
Dr.
looks
Tirgari.
amazing.
Yeah.
Great work.
Well, be sure to watch our future episodes because your videos might be in some of our episodes in the future.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. And everybody watching, we really appreciate you tuning into another episode of Femme Flex Friday. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What are your thoughts about these procedures? And we want to know.
Until next time.
Until next time. See you later.